Welcome to the Retrograde video game podcast, where this week we take a look back at one of the greatest years in gaming history, the year 2000.
My name is Andrew Baskin, but with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
My 2K Aaronworth.
Yeah.
My 2K Aaronworth. My 2K. Y2K.
I'm glad this is what, rehearsal number 2 or something like that? Like, you just got to get it, you got to hammer it out before we do it live.
It's tough because, you know what I should start doing? Is saying it out loud before we record.
Hey, how about that?
I wrote it down and I was like, pretty
novel
fucking
idea.
good. Also, didn't write it down.
Yeah.
I had it in my head.
Yeah.
Prepped and ready to go as
Yeah.
of 30 seconds ago.
You should do that really creepy thing they do in like the spelling bee where they write it on their hand.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
Like this, and you're like, so you really see that, don't you?
What do you think's creepy? Yeah, the Queen's Gambit it. What do you think's creepier, when they write it on their hand like that or when they write it in the air?
Hand.
I think, yeah, because it looks like they're keeping a secret.
Yeah,
from
like
you.
this. Like, it's like, show me. It's
And they show you, it's just like a picture of the judges with naked.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
It's a Far Side comic. Whoa.
What would you,
What are
like,
the cows talking about?
at what point, what are the cows talking about? I mean, it's time, you've joined the right podcast if you came to find out.
Now
what
we're
the
going to
cows
get
are
out.
talking
Yeah.
about. If you, like, at what point is it cheating, though, to like write on your hand? Because, like, what if you have poor circulation?
Oh.
You dehydrate yourself,
Yeah.
as I always do before a good spelling bee.
Mhm.
And then when you kind of etch it in, you can still see the
Yeah.
letter.
What if they were just had really long nails and they're carving it into their hands?
Or just
And you're
bleeding.
like, Jesus Christ. Like,
What do you use for an eraser at that point?
Yeah. Licks it many times. You're like, ew, 11-year-old kid from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Why are you so good at spelling?
Fort where?
Fort Wayne?
Fort Wayne.
Mhm.
Is that where all this, that's where you know.
Oh,
the
it's the
good
hub
spelling
of
is?
spelling. Oh, those kids come firing out ready to
The thing
spell.
is, you say that like it's a joke, but that does sound like A, something that could be true, and B, a weird fact that you would know, because you know a lot of those weird facts.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. If I said it with full confidence, I think
Yeah.
I could just move past it. And
I would have believed you.
Yeah.
I would have believed a lot of things.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm your friend?
Have you ever been to Indiana? I was talking about yesterday because I want to go see a college football game there.
Really?
Yeah.
At not the Big House, because that's in Michigan,
Very-
which I know.
Anything else you want to get out off your
Yeah,
chest?
yeah. UCLA Bruins.
Yeah. Here we go
They
again.
lost to the Florida Gators. Jakeem Noah was on the team.
Oh, you're talking about basketball again?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about football?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all balls at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
boy, are they.
Yeah, you throw them, you kick them, you throw them in nets.
Absolutely.
Who needs any more rules?
It's that classic video game podcast where like sports balls. Oh.
I hate that. I really hate that.
Mhm, me too.
And I
But
think
that's what you sound like.
No, this is college football. That's a weird people like college football.
Millions and millions of weird. It's the
Yeah.
second most popular sport in America.
In where?
In America.
I rest my case. Weird people like college football.
Oh, wow, putting his foot down there. I don't. You know, that being said, during the election, I think a lot of people are like, "Well, yeah, absolutely,
That is absolutely true.
Weird.
Who are you voting for this coming election, Andrew?
RFK.
RFK. It's
Yeah.
gotta be.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
gonna
going
do
independent.
Is he actually like? Would you have to write him in?
I don't know. I don't know how it works state to state.
Huh. But you do know that most spelling bee champions come from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which I really hope there's a Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh, did you just make that
I
up?
think so. I don't know. It sounds right, doesn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I guess at some point, if you're ready, we can talk about like games and shit. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Video games.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out which game I want to talk
I
about.
just
though.
had something,
Mhm.
and it was in my head about games that I wanted to say.
The game of college football is very popular in the
Video
United States
games.
of America.
You play Mario?
Yeah, Mario. I'm aware of him. Little
Luigi's
guy,
brother.
Overalls. Yeah.
You know
oh,
him?
yeah. Oh, right. Luigi's little brother keeps
Yeah.
coming around.
Guy who rides Yoshi?
yeah. The dinosaur. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know all the ancillary characters. You know, he messes with dry bones every once in a while.
Hey, don't we all?
Yeah. So, in my progress of having now a PS5, I have now started working my way through games that I should have played. And so we released an episode recently where I said, like, what games do you want me to play? People have sent recommendations. That's really good.
What's the number one recommendation people are sending?
Cyberpunk.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So I got that. And I will talk about that. No, I'll talk about that now then.
Do it.
Why did I just set it
No,
up?
don't leave
And
me
now
hanging.
I will talk about that at a later date. Thank you very much. How much of Cyberpunk did you play?
I played about 10 to 12 hours.
Okay. Yeah. I'm probably around there.
Okay. What are you thinking so far? I could get into this because I have a lot of thoughts on Cyberpunk. And I played it in a post-patch world.
Yes, which is clearly what I'm doing as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what to think of it. I think the storytelling and the set designing and all that kind of stuff is very cool.
Yeah,
like
because you are on a set. This is something that people aren't talking about in the games.
Well, somebody had to design it, so
Yeah,
and it's not like they walked into it.
No, but it's a set. Like it's a play. The whole Cyberpunk, and if you haven't played Cyberpunk, this is going to sound really confusing, but this is true.
I can't tell if you're making fun of me. You know this is true. It is a set.
No, it is true. You're on a set because the Cyberpunk is a play, and we are all players. The whole world of Cyberpunk is a stage.
So like a movie is a what are they on? It's a set.
Like documentaries?
No, not documentaries. No.
What else is there?
There's like fictional movies, like film movies.
Documentaries?
No. There's another thing.
Like Avatar, the documentary about Pandora?
Yeah.
Like are
you waiting for your ticket to go to Pandora? You're like, God, please.
I'm on the wait list.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah. The guy keeps being like, hey, give me another $50, I'll bump you up the wait list.
Yeah, you're on the wait list for Pandora and Casa Bonita.
That was going to be my reference. Clearly two people who listen to Doughboys and Podcast The Ride.
Yeah. Casa Bonita. Like that whole world designing, that world building, and the way that they dress each room and stuff like that. And like, there's all these small details that are really cool on the streets, and like they rethought so much of modern day society, which I think is really cool. Like even down to the crosswalks, I'm fascinated by. Yeah. And they write like don't walk on the street and stuff like that, and which is good because unlike GTA, like you will get killed by a car if you jaywalk. Which I thought is really good, and it's hard not to compare it directly to GTA. Yeah, being an open world with guns and cars and stuff like that.
Much like the United States of America.
Guns and cars. It's on the flag. And just not looking close enough. I don't know if it's enjoyable to play.
Okay, this is where we're getting into where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will disagree with us.
Sure.
Because they put the time in to figure out the systems of the game, which obviously, like, if you're into RPGs and you really like to go down the rabbit hole of what all the different builds play like, and there's a ton of variety in Cyberpunk, whether you want to be like focused on hacking or acrobatics and parkour or just guns, stealth, all this stuff. It looks like there are a lot of fun ways to play the game, but the combat itself to me never felt good enough to warrant the minute to minute, like get to the next objective gameplay in Cyberpunk. And I felt like there was always something kind of pushing against it. It didn't grab me in any of its individual components. Yeah. Much in the way that I talk about Red Dead, where I appreciate the game as a whole, but I found that the individual parts wouldn't warrant playing in their own game. So I don't feel like I want to play them as part of a greater whole.
I so far in this game, I am mostly like Milhouse in The Simpsons going like, when are we going to get to the fireworks factory?
Yes.
Because I keep going like, well, I'm going to wait till the good part happens. And then we go through a level where I shoot people up and I'm like, I'm going to wait for the good part.
The good part. And then eventually shooting people is going to be more fun than this.
Yeah. Right? And then the story happens. I'm like, well, I'm going to wait for the good part. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, what is the good part here? Like the driving in first person is, there's a huge learning curve. So eventually, you're right, we'll all get better at it as I stick with it, because I probably will, because I'm a masochist. But like, it's not fun. I'm hitting everything whatsoever. Yeah. Like, you don't also feel powerful, which is the biggest thing. It feels very video gamey doing that. The guns and the hand-to-hand combat. The number of times I punch and I go, where's the guy? Oh, he's behind me? Like, what the hell happened there? Like,
what kind of build are you doing? More like melee and hand-to-hand?
Yeah, I did that because I knew the first couple levels would definitely be like involving violence. Yep. And so like I did a little bit of that, and I did a little bit of stealth as well. Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing. It's like there's such a fury with the mechanic that all of a sudden you're like, where's the guy? Wait, where'd he go? So you don't feel like you're in a fight. You feel like you're pressing buttons.
It's something that they've always struggled with in melee combat in first-person games, is the chunkiness of real-life hand-to-hand combat, which I know nothing about. Yeah. But I'm just assuming when you make contact with someone, you know you've made contact with them, much the same as when someone makes contact with you, you know they made contact with you.
Even more important than getting punched or not getting punched or punching somebody is me going, well, I should keep this guy in front of me probably. And like, and this game is more concerned about like closing my eyes and swinging as hard as I can, and then ending up on the floor and going, where'd he go?
It's like a WWF match against Doink the Clown, where he just like slips under you and you're like, where did he go?
Yeah. Like some kind of like Mankind Under the Ring type.
Yeah.
I am.
I did struggle with a lot of that, and the when are we going to get to the fireworks factory thing, I struggled with a lot, and I'm pretty confident that if I put the time in, I would get there, because I've seen videos of how the game is played. And to those of you who are saying that I didn't put enough time in to let that kind of wash over me, I watched YouTube videos on the best builds and how to get to like the fun parts quickest. Yeah. I really tried to make that game work for me. And ultimately it came down to me not enjoying everything that preceded it. in a different way, I think, than something like Death Stranding, which I also didn't love the first 10 hours of, but was at least unique.
Yeah.
Right now, or the first chunk of Cyberpunk just feels like incredibly generic first-person shooter RPG, whereas the first 10 hours of Death Stranding felt like something I had never played before in my entire life.
Sure. Yeah. No, I totally understand that. I don't. Yeah. The thing is, maybe I thought I was like, maybe this will be like GTA, and that's my fault if I did that before it started. But it's not like GTA. It's like Saints Row.
It is a little more like Saints Row.
And so that's the thing that I'm just trying to get used to, is like to just curb my expectation, to go into the turn, especially with the story, which feels very like feels like very, I don't know, like a bountiful story. Like it's big and there's a lot going on. There's lots of choice.
Yes.
And that's really cool. So that part of it, I'm really excited for. And I might just have to swallow the shooting and stuff like that, where I'm like, whatever.
I feel like anyone who plays it, yourself included, would enjoy it just based on the little bit that I've seen. Yeah. But again, it's more about, do you have the time to put in? When there are so many other games that I want to play right now, I just find myself in those more monotonous beats before we get to the fireworks factory, where I'm like, I think I'm going to try something else. I kind of regret giving it up, because I do think that it could wash over me in the way that a good RPG always does after a little bit of time. But I'm curious to see if you keep playing it, if that point hits you. Have you gotten to the point where you can you basically recreate people's memories?
Yes. I'm past that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that becomes a mechanic that you have to use a few times. And honestly, hats off for the idea, I guess. But that is so unfun to me.
It's so unfun. Yeah. And I'm like, why'd you rewind to hear that part of the conversation? I'm like,
yes.
do I have to?
Yeah. And that doesn't go away. That keeps happening.
I know.
And I that's the kind of thing where I'm like, give me legitimately, I don't know how you do it. I'm not a developer. Give me a way to skip that. like automate it in accessibility or whatever. Games are getting better at that. Give me it for entire gameplay mechanics that I don't want to engage with.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, especially because it's not a puzzle. It's a waiting game, because there's only one spot that you can get. So it's not like, well, if I move this here and I do that. It's like, no, it's actually not on you. You just got to wait and then go, and then it goes, the magnifying glass. You're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Well, that was tough. You know what I mean?
Wow,
and maybe, hey, once again, maybe it does get difficult and I need to do a little bit of work, whatever. But I don't. I also will say, this is so funny. This is not criticism by any means. All of it is just so gross to me. Like, it's all so gross. like you go to the Ripper doc and like he's just working on you and like ripping you apart, and then you're like, cool. You just seem constantly dirty.
I like that. I like being dirty.
No, you don't.
No, I hate it. I hate it. But I like to live it in fiction.
Sure.
Vicariously through V, I think is your character's name. Yeah. The design, like you said, the set design of the stage that you're on is great to me. And I love the example you gave of the detail of the don't walk thing on that. Part of the world is brilliant. I think CD Projekt Red did a great job of that. And that's what I want more of. I love science fiction for those little, like, you can imagine people having a meeting and just being like, what would crosswalks look like here? Let's reimagine everything. So the grossness of it, the constant advertising, it knowing who you are and advertising to you directly, much in the same way as like a Blade Runner, which I think this game borrows a lot from, both Villeneuve's Blade Runner and Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. Woo, I was scared I was going to miss both of those names, and they came to me at the last minute.
You didn't have to say it,
though. But I took the risk.
You choose these things sometimes, and I'm always very confused.
I just hope my body's going to catch me.
Yeah.
My mind is going to catch me.
Yeah, well, that's why you got hacked for that. You got like upgrades and stuff like that.
Doesn't that scare the shit out of you? I think about that all the time when we talk about like Neuralink and all that. The idea of becoming symbiotic with technology, what that opens you up to. Like the prospect of having my email hacked makes me sick to my stomach. Imagine your brain being hacked.
No, there's a point very early on where a guy taps into you like a USB drive, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's telling you if you're telling the truth or not.
Yes.
And I'm always like, yeah, yes, that would do it. And then the funny part is they give you options, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna lie.
He knows.
He knows I can tell, like, what, just be like a little stinker? Like, get out of here. Like
a little tramp.
Yeah, like a rapscallion. Like you look at it like, now tell the truth.
Oh. Will Smith is a playable character.
Oh, right.
I'm
sorry, we spoiled it.
Will
Smith's playable character, but only as his doctor in Concussion.
And it turns out you as V haven't actually been hacked. You don't have like a mind virus. Yeah. You just have CTE.
Yes.
And that's why you see Keanu Reeves in the peripherals.
It's actually normal 2024. Like totally, it's very normal, except you're seeing all that.
The scary thing is this doesn't take place in 2077. No. It is 2024, but because of all the CTE, you're imagining it's the future.
Yeah. It's funny that if you listen to this podcast enough, you maybe think we've seen 5 movies in our life. Like we readdress the same pieces of entertainment over and over and over again.
Here's one that we can talk about, a new one.
Oh.
That we haven't brought up on the podcast before, but I know you've seen it.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen it.
Okay. Good.
Unless I have CTE.
Congrats. Yeah.
I saw the TV Glow.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
It's so good.
It's my favorite movie, I think, since Past Lives. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was great.
It's very, very good. Yeah, it's a very hard movie to describe.
Yes.
But essentially that there is two wayward characters that have connected over this TV show that they watch on Friday nights that's kind of closer to like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Are You Afraid of the Dark kind of thing. And about their, I don't know, finding purpose and identity in their life through that.
Yeah.
And it goes in lots of crazy ways, but it's a really interesting movie. The music is super atmospheric.
Mm-hmm.
It's very...
a lot of covers of songs that you would have heard if you grew up with a Buffy the Vampire Slayer or a Are You Afraid of the Dark or something like that.
Yeah, it's like Phoebe Bridgers' ghost voice is just haunting you throughout that movie. And you're it's really good. And Justice Smith is very good in it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. The only reason I bring it up is because our listeners think we only know 5 fucking movies. Well, guess what? We know 6, bitch.
Yeah. We'll have to do, like, I know it's halfway through the year now, but it's been a very interesting movie year.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost want to talk about like things we've liked so far because it's been a good TV year too, by the way. But
it's been a good TV year, a good movie year, some good games.
Some good games
We've been playing, like Cyberpunk
from 2022 or 21, maybe. I don't know.
I said at the end of last year, I was like, you know what I want for this year? No more games.
Yes.
Give me some time to catch up.
Yes.
And I'm working my way. I'm trying to. Still haven't started Shadow of the Erdtree. Don't know if I'm going to.
Is there anything you want to talk about?
No. You know what? I'll save it because we spent a decent chunk of time talking about Cyberpunk, which is I've been waiting to kind of spill my guts on that a little bit since I tried it last year, and I'm interested because you have kind of some of the same thoughts, and I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, that you also have this sense that if you do keep playing, you might really like it.
Yeah. I the problem is like I feel this is like, I trust me when I say this is not trying to be insulting, but I feel like I have a very Mikey attitude towards this where I'm like, I'm in and I go, I don't know. Like what I'll do is I'll play games that I like and then go back, try a little bit, go back to the game I like, and then try a little bit more. And I'm doing that with another game that I'll probably talk about next
I
episode.
game often in the same way that I play Jenga, where I just kind of like poke on a block. I'm like, is this it? No, I'm going to go to somewhere else. And I poke on that block, and if it's loose. And I also actually do a lot of things like with kind of like an Andrew attitude. Oh, I'm like I'll start something and be like, I'm too fucking stupid to understand what's going on. I really don't like this, I think.
Yeah.
Fucking, I'm so dumb.
See, but it's a good attitude to have. It protects you. Like you give up on so many things. You're like, this might be dangerous. I don't like it. Okay, cool. You don't have to.
See, that is an attitude that I do have. This might be dangerous. Cowardice. Cowardice is great because you know what cowardice has done?
What?
Prevented too many broken bones.
Right.
Too much
Have you ever broken a bone?
I have broken a bone.
You have?
I have. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
My finger.
Oh.
It's not shaped right anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you do that?
At university.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the guy who broke it, I didn't get it checked out for about a week because the guy who broke it was like, it's definitely not broken. You're just being a pussy.
Yeah, nice.
And it turns out he was wrong.
Uh-huh.
And he was not a good guy.
Was medical school?
Yeah, he's now a doctor.
Yeah. It was Dr. Fauci. Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Wow. And he's jabbing me with needles.
Yeah, that's how much he knew. Didn't even know my finger was broken.
He knew. Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci. You know what I want to vouch for are all the great games that came out in the year 2000. Our Lord, Y2K, 1999. Yep. What's going to happen when the clock strikes December 31st, or I guess January 1st, 2000? What's going to happen? I know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's going to bring on an onslaught of fantastic games.
Right. And
here we are to talk about them.
Yep. A scant 24 years later.
24 years later. But we've done this in the past before.
Yes,
where we take
have.
a look at some of the best years in memory of games. We've done years like, I think, 1997.
Yep.
1995 was the only worst years, the one that we've done. We did 1999. But now we're going to be looking at 2000. Which I think before we get into the draft itself, I want to give some context for what was going on in 2000 in the world of games. So as we normally do, I want to start off with some of the best-selling consoles.
Okay.
Do you have any predictions as to where this might go, or do you just want me to rattle them off?
N64 is probably too late, so probably not that. Probably PlayStation 2.
So if this one, PlayStation 2 is a great guess.
Okay.
The Game Boy which is almost cheating because, of course, is 18.8 million. It's close to the peak of like Pokemon era. So, of course, it's just
not
selling,
really, though.
Not
we'll
really.
Get to that.
Yeah. The PS1 sold 7.8 million units. The PS2 sold 6.4 million units. The N64 sold 2.8 million units. And the Dreamcast sold 2.3 million units.
Wait, does that mean the PS2 has just come out and that's why PS1 is still selling so well?
It could be.
Why is that? Why would they be both selling at the exact same, almost same number?
Yeah, the PS2 came out in March 4th, 2000. But if you remember, it was so expensive. And there was probably a price drop on the PS1.
Wait, a Sony PlayStation was so expensive and hard to buy? This can't be true.
Andrew, no, you got to believe me.
History can't repeat itself.
If
they need to learn their lesson.
They should, and I don't think they ever will go back to that.
And they sat in their office like, last time that'll happen, right? And they all shook each other's hands.
Or they realized that it drove up their sales. So they're like, so we do this every time?
Yeah.
Every time? Chip shortage this time? Great.
Next time we release 10 consoles. 10 units, and then watch them fight like, wild animals.
So that kind of explains it. But similarly, or not quite, but a new console in the Dreamcast, which came out, I think, 9/9/99, which was December 9th, 1999, for someone like you who might not understand those numbers, had a full year to sell in the year 2000, still didn't sell as many consoles as the N64, which was kind of on its way out at this point, if anything.
Shit, that feels like...
Not quite on its way out, but at this point, it's 4 years old.
I love it. Like, it's all hindsight, right? So how smart are we looking back? But it's like, God, did that feel DOA? like it just. Oh,
I know. It felt like. Here's the problem: is as a kid, I felt like I had learned a secret that no one else knew. As an adult, I'm like, that's not good. Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, it was true.
Have you guys ever heard of a Dreamcast? No. Oh shit.
Let me explain to you what a virtual memory unit is.
Yes. Have you heard of the Seaman?
The Seaman himself. Hey, spell that for me.
Wait, you guys love Leonard Nimoy though.
This is peak Leonard Nimoy.
I'm trying to think of like who would it be, but it's like actually Seaman, Leonard Nimoy's out. JTT, he's in. Jonathan Taylor Thomas from Home Improvement. Everyone's buying Seaman like crazy.
Hey, Sega. And whose Seaman are they buying? Bullshark Seaman.
Yeah.
Right? Because that gives you testosterone. Or is
that true? I don't know that.
Or
this feels more of your field than me.
Yeah? I don't do steroids.
No, I would
if someone gave them to me.
I feel like you listen to alternative media.
Okay.
That would advertise. That would advertise very odd ways of getting you higher testosterone and really caring about it.
Yeah.
Mine is like a lot of like prepped meals delivery.
or like Helix mattresses. Yes. BetterHelp is another one.
The closest I get is like, do you want some protein in that cereal? We got you.
Have you ever had Magic Spoon?
No, is it good?
Magic Spoon, if you're out there and you want to sponsor this podcast, Magic Spoon is fucking delicious.
Is it really?
It's so good.
It's kind of expensive though, right?
It is expensive. Okay. That's why if they sponsor us.
That's why you need promo code Retrograde.
Promo code Retrograde. No, Magic Spoon is great. I will vouch for it. I'm more of an Athletic Greens kind of. That's who it advertises to me on those podcasts.
Have you ever tried Athletic Greens?
I have. It's great. It's too expensive.
I've also heard it is also possibly snake oil though.
I don't know about that.
Like it's a lot of like, well, it's like taking multivitamins where they're like, you're peeing most of that out. But
insofar as you need to take it with meals or without, depending on the vitamins that are in there, it's good for your gut health. It has probiotics and all that stuff. Like insofar as we know that vitamins are good for you.
Fair enough.
Good.
Yes.
But do I feel noticeably better when I'm on it? No, I always feel like trash. So that's not going to help.
That's always a tough thing though. It's like, it's not like it's going to hit your lips and you're like Popeye, where you're like, wagoom, wagoom. Oh my God, here we go.
If you do, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, that's bad. You're like, my head's getting huge. Yeah, okay. Well, that was health talk.
That was health talk. Magic Spoon, the healthiest of health talks. Let's go through. We went through console sales.
Yeah.
And by the way, I am still a Dreamcast apologist. I fucking love that console. Bring it back. Best-selling games.
Oh, okay. Well, okay,
this is in the year 2000. They didn't have to necessarily have released in the year 2000.
Which is, of course, what we're going to draft is games that came out in 2000.
Yes.
Is this going to ruin any of our selections?
Right.
No, I'm asking.
Oh, no, not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, because I think sales don't necessarily reflect quality all the time.
Nope.
I think if anything, it's going to be surprising to us how many aren't from the year 2000.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Pokemon Gold and Silver at number 1 with 7.5 million units.
Okay.
Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow at 5.8 million units. Now, keep in mind the Game Boy sold 18.8 million units that year. It's almost half of all the Game Boys that sold included one of those games with it.
Oh, okay.
Dragon Quest VII, which came out in Japan only in 2000, sold 3.9 million, which means those 3.9 million units are essentially attributed to Japan only. This is before it hit North America. Final Fantasy IX came in at 3.7 million units. This was still kind of that era when a Final Fantasy game dropped, everyone paid attention to it. Granted, it's still wildly popular. YouTube has told us that since we released that clip of us trashing Final Fantasy. But I think it has less cachet than it had back then.
We didn't even trash it. We made fun of the people that care about it.
Yes.
Like we really went
not
at
even
them.
made fun. We're like, we get that you love it. It's just not for us. And people were furious. Just furious.
I love it. Nothing makes me laugh more than it's like, hey guys, try not to be sensitive about this. And they're like, I will be so sensitive. You won't believe it.
The video starts with you being like, because we're talking about our gamer shames.
Yes.
And you're like, haven't played a second of it. Don't understand it. And it's not for me, Final Fantasy. And then people are like, how could it not be for you if you've never tried it? And it's like, that's the shame. That's, it's not for you because anyway, fucking
same as cannibalism, but like, I just don't think I'm gonna like.
Oh, you should.
Is it good?
You know what? Here's the thing. It's not going to change. It's like athletic greens. So far as things can be good for you, it's a lot of protein in it.
I think if I tried a little piece of human meat, I think I might turn into like a Red Bull ad where I just start floating around. I'm like, ooh, this is good. I get it now.
How do you do with a guilty conscience?
I don't know. I eat a lot of meat and I let that one go, you know? And I have a pet now too. And I look at him while I'm eating cow and I'm like, you're different.
It's or I'll be watching the Nature Channel. I'll be like cheering for the gazelle to get away from the lion. And I'm like, this is outrageous that the lion is
only for a poacher to blow its brains out in front of you. Exactly. You're like, oh, good. Butcher gazelle meat, please.
If you have a guilty conscience, I wouldn't recommend the cannibalism route. But if you just think about it, like don't give a fuck about human emotion,
right? Yeah.
Then it's good.
Yeah.
I still prefer steak.
Yeah,
but in a pinch,
cow steak.
Is that the only one that steak comes from?
No, I don't know.
Okay, because flank is a butt, right?
No, well, yeah. It's part of the
That's why I love flank steak.
Yeah, because you love eating ass.
Love eating ass. It's the steak of millennials, baby. So we had Final Fantasy IX at 3.7 million units. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1.
Whoa!
At 2.3 million units. Gran Turismo 2 at 2 million units. That came out December of 1999. Europe, it came out in 2000. Yeah. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 at 1.9 million units, but it didn't come out until September. So it explains why it was lower in sales than number one.
We might be talking about that later.
We might be talking.
Yeah, I don't know. We might be talking about it later.
Majora's Mask, 1.8 million units.
Might be talking about it later.
And Pokemon Stadium, 1.8 million units.
Not going to be talking about it. It's not out. It's not. Pokemon Stadium 2 or something that is on 2000.
I thought it was Pokemon Stadium 1 was out in 2000.
Okay, we might have to go to the judges.
Should we go to the judges on this?
Yeah, go to the judges. Elliot. Oh, wait, Mikey's got it. You go back to bed. Don't worry. It's okay. He looked at me like, what? I'm like, no, that's okay.
Never mind. Oh, Japan in 1999 and North America 2000.
Wow. Okay.
And we usually base it on the North American release for these drafts. So.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Not my ancestral home of Japan. That place I went to once.
Hi.
Yeah, very good.
I am...
Your Duolingo's paying off. Also, Retrograde code 10% off.
Duolingo, I can't guarantee I will use you, but come.
And your very odd, aggressive social media tactics.
What do they do?
Oh, that owl just keeps popping up in very inappropriate situations.
Like the new Microsoft paperclip?
Yeah, Clippy? Yeah,
Clippy.
100%. That, and if you ever want,
Bonsai Buddy?
I don't know what that is. Okay. We can talk about that afterwards, maybe. But the Paralympics TikTok account is run by, I just assume always it's young millennials or like a 21-year-old, when often they're not. They're like 44-year-olds that have jobs.
Who just understand the voice of a millennial.
Yeah. They are always posting the clips of whatever, the Paralympians, doing incredibly impressive things with like the most modern memes that if you weren't aware that it was from the Paralympics, you would think they're making fun of them. And every time I have to look, I'm like, wow. But
you're treading very dangerously there.
Yeah, but it's like, I guess like this incredible biker who's only got one left leg.
Yeah.
And it's the clip going left. And I'm like, so this is cool. And it's like, I think the problem is if you and I made the joke, they're like, no. And it's like, no, this guy's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think if you're the biker, that's funny to you. But you don't want to hear someone who you don't know make that joke to you.
Yeah.
It's like no one makes fun of my brother except for me.
Yes, I would think that. Like, yes, that Olympic athlete who's going to get a gold medal or something like that is like, only me, my family, and Denise over there from social media. She's
social.
good.
Shout out to Denise.
She's cool. The rest of you can get fucked. Like, yeah.
And if you laugh at Denise's post, you got to tell me about your background.
Thank you for supporting the Paralympics.
Yeah.
Don't say it to my face.
If you give me a like and a retweet, that's okay. But don't have any quotes making fun of my leg. Yeah. My left foot, don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Don't want to hear it. Don't call me Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Who said peg leg?
I thought you said Pele. I'm like, he lost a leg?
Yeah, no, he's dead.
Well, so it probably rotted off. So
yeah, he probably does have one leg.
Yeah.
We can hope.
One leg in the grave, one leg out.
Yeah, they bronzed his right leg, I assume. Whatever, it's sticking straight out of there. That'd be so creepy.
Okay, so let's. So we went through the sales. Here's a little bit. Okay, I gotta use this little quiz afterwards.
Okay,
but just to kind of cap it off before we get to the draft, I'm going to talk about some newsworthy information from the year 2000. The PlayStation 2 in this year got trade limits imposed on it because they figured it was sophisticated enough to use it for military purposes, like launching a nuclear missile. That's how strong it was. Ooh, microprocessors. Ooh, the whole movie Face Off is based on microprocessors.
Is that true?
I think it is. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Or
it's a real war games kind of thing, video
100%,
games and lots of things. That's just it's the same thing with like can you know how like planes now stop saying like can you put your phone in? They've just given up on doing that.
Also, I don't think any plane has ever been affected by me having an iPad.
How in the world is this not more sophisticated than me just going like beep boop boop now crashing the plane? Like is that easy?
That's the thing is if I can do it by flicking through Twitter or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to X my apologies.
I'm sorry,
but that was back before they made the change.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's okay.
Then I don't want to be on this airplane.
Yes.
If that's what it takes. Yes. I don't want to be on this airplane.
The more I learn about airplane services, the employees that work there and stuff like that, the more I go like, it's kind of amazing. We all land all the time, isn't it?
That's true.
Like it's we land all the time.
Denzel Washington drinks before every time he flies a plane. Yeah. He'll even do cocaine sometimes. In fact, he's drunk right now.
Yeah. Man, airplane just like we have so many just jokes that are so bad were made so often that we just kind of give up. Like, why isn't the whole plane made of the black box? Pilots are alcoholics. The food is bad. Like all this kind of stuff. We just have like generally going like, yes, we know.
It's dangerous.
Yeah,
it's dangerous. So trade limitations. Microsoft in the year 2000 acquired Bungie. Big news. Bungie eventually went on to make a little game called Halo. Video games won 7 out of 20 BAFTAs.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
I don't know what they'd win for, but
yeah, well, okay.
I didn't want to click through the article.
Set design?
Set design probably because they're all taking place on the stage. And then here's my last bit of information before we get into our draft, Andrew. And this is important. Every country and area in the world, Europe, Japan, North America,
the rest,
had a Pokemon game as their #1 grossing game.
Wow.
Except for one. And keep in mind, Europe is often separated in between different countries. Okay. But like when they factored in for Europe in general, but if you go into specific countries within Europe, there's one notable country that didn't have Pokemon.
Was it banned for some reason?
Nope.
Is that why?
No, Pokemon is there.
So is there a reason why it wasn't the #1 game? Like, the
reason would be stiff competition, I think they would argue.
Oh, I don't know. Based on those games,
guess first of all the country.
France.
No, actually,
Italy?
France is Pokemon Yellow. Nope.
Italy? Yeah. You knew that off your head that France was.
I did.
Pokemon Yellow?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very impressive. I was just thinking maybe racing took over, like Gran Turismo.
So where's racing popular?
Monaco,
the UK.
Oh, is it popular in the UK?
Racing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
That's so
you
odd.
fucking idiot.
No, I was going to say like Germany, Italy, like car manufacturing countries. But yeah. Okay.
Well, the UK they don't do things themselves. They take it from other people.
Yes, they do that. Yeah. They're very good at that.
Because the good things belong in museums
100%,
in the UK.
Yes. Thanks, Indiana.
Guess what the #1 game is in the UK?
Steam Sausage Roll.
That would have been a great choice, but it came out in 2014.
Goat Simulator.
Also came out much later than 2000.
Is it? Should I get this?
Guess one more.
GoldenEye.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, sure. James Bond of some kind.
Is that your final answer?
Oh, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yes.
Oh my God.
There was a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire video game that was the #1 seller in the UK.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire came out in 1999, right?
Something like
98, 99, and it was so popular.
So popular.
Like so popular. Okay.
Because they hear the title and they're like, well, I do. I'm going to tune in.
I have so many odd memories of like built into that show.
Yeah.
So there's the guy that won the first million. Do you know this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his name was something Carpenter or something.
He
like
looked
that.
like a skinnier version of IRS from the WWF.
Sure.
Yeah.
In the way they had glasses and a tie and a shirt. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so you agree.
Oh, this guy. I'm walking down like our financial district in Toronto. I'm like, look at all these little RSs.
You don't remember when he beat Regis Philbin with a briefcase?
Look at these Irvin R. Shysters. Yeah. And I remember he got to the $1 million question without using any of his 3 lifelines.
I think we were watching this together. Like our families were watching this together.
What? We just like got together on a Wednesday night to go like, well, Who Wants to Be Millionaires on? Get over here.
Yeah.
Regis is like, hi. And he goes, he calls his dad. And he goes, so you're going to read the question? And he goes, no. He goes, Dad, I'm going to win $1 million. I know this one. And it's only reason I bring that up is because that $1 million question, which why in the world I can remember this? Can't remember what my second grade teacher was called.
Yeah.
Is about Richard Nixon being on Laugh-In.
Oh.
And going, and what is soccer to me?
Soccer to me.
It's something Mikey and I still say to each other. And that's, that guy won $1 million.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins? Ken Jennings or the tiny Irvin R. Shyster?
Ken Jennings.
In a fight.
Oh, Ken Jennings.
Of the mines.
Ken Jennings.
Magic is involved.
Irvin R. Shyster.
Andrew, sometimes I love recording this podcast with you. That's fun. That was fun.
That's the first
okay.
time I said that in a year.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the draft, Andrew.
Yeah.
We've been waiting with bated breath, or our listeners have. I can't remember who went first last time.
I have a feeling I did. I don't know. I don't based on nothing.
Actually, no, because the last time we did a draft, I'm not sure, but we did the worst year draft. And I remember I went first and you got in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I fucked up and I couldn't get out of my own way for the rest of it. So do you want to go first with this, with your pick?
Sure. I'll go first. Oh, fuck.
Are we doing snake draft or no? I can't remember if we do that.
No, we'll just go back and
forth.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just go back and forth. This is so hard because
sorry. We should say,
yes.
The way that we
categories.
structure this, the categories, we have 4 games that we just pick as good games. And this now, the change from our last draft is that this is inclusive of game of the year as well, because they're all just really good games. So take your pick for game of the year. The categories that we're going to use are influential, poorly aged, and underappreciated. The key that I always want to stress here, because I really got chewed out for our pick when I had Resident Evil 2, is that poorly aged is the game that was the best in terms of quality, graphics, whatever it is, and has fallen the most since. So a bad game can't get much worse, but a game that we thought was great and then ends up, we look back and we're like, that was kind of shit.
Yeah.
Is what goes here.
I agree with you. And then we have just also some good games that we're going to name as well.
Yeah.
Which I think we have 4 categories for that, 4 slots for that. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. The 4 good games is so broad. You try and do that last. You try and, in my mind, I'm trying to fill the specific categories first.
Yep.
Oh man, this is just so tough. I'm going to go under influential.
Okay.
I'm going to choose Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Yeah. Like
so the reason why, if just in case anyone doesn't immediately get that, I'm glad you got it off immediately because I was going to wonder if I had to explain this. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, especially 2, which really set the world on fire sales-wise and it was just quality, set off a new industry of games that didn't exist previously.
Yes.
And
everything tried to be a new Tony Hawk.
Everything tried to be famous niche athlete into their own game. Kelly Slater, Matt Hoffman, yeah,
Dave Mirra.
Dave Mirra, yeah. Over and over again, there was just specific name and then specific sport that didn't have it previously.
Yep.
You even saw it in weird like racing games and like NASCAR and stuff like that. The game, nothing ever touched Tony Hawk. It is, I think pretty up there and pretty cemented as like the extreme sport game that everyone played. But it it created a new industry. So that has to be seen as influential.
I agree with you. It did. If given the first pick, I would have been wavering on that. Maybe not as much influential for me personally, just because Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 existed in this world. But I do agree that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 is really when the franchise hit its stride, so to speak.
Yes, I completely agree with you.
So instead, though, I like having this pick as the second overall pick. And even though it's not my game necessarily, I just find it hard to look at all the games on this list and find anything more unique or more that has contributed more to games moving forward as The Sims. Yeah, I think The Sims as an influential game specifically is how I'm going to take it because games, I remember way back in the day, there were a few games that people explained to me and I had to go like, wait, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yes.
What do you mean there's a game about that? One of them was Grand Theft Auto, the original Grand Theft
Oh,
Auto.
interesting.
Where people were like, you stand in front of a car and you press enter and then you go steal the person's car and drive away. And I was like, wait a second. What do you mean, first of all, that you walk around and then steal a car?
Yeah.
You can drive and walk in this game. Secondly, what do you mean you can steal a car in this game? You can't really do crimes in video games like that, especially with the nuance of stealing cars. And I'm like, so the whole game is about stealing cars? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it. The other game, or one of the other games, is The Sims. I remember someone explaining to me, like, you get a job and you build a house and you have a family and you talk to your neighbors. And I just couldn't comprehend how that could be a game. I'm like, so do you control many houses and many families like this, like SimCity? They're like, no. So I played it and it just kind of blew my mind. It was 3 days before I was lighting them on fire, but
taking out pool ladders and stuff like that. I agree with you. And I was thinking, I thought the same thing, because The Sims also created this industry of passive entertainment that is kind of realistic in real life. This is an extreme version because it is still a little bit amplified to go like, I could become an astronaut tomorrow and then, you know, a baby could be born. You know, like that's crazy.
And I'll piss on my kitchen floor.
Yeah, and he's gonna be so mad, you know. But it's the same thing of like, and now we have Power Washer, you know, the simulator.
Yeah.
And people go like, that's satisfying. It's like, oh, it's incredibly satisfying. There's a line that I think about, and I attribute to you, but you can tell me if I'm wrong. But is that somebody in your life was like, oh, you're gonna play a hockey game? Why don't you just go play hockey?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, and it's like, well, that's not. These guys are good.
Yeah,
like, it's a little different.
Exactly.
And The Sims is the same way. Like, why don't you just go like actually mow the lawn? It's like, well, no, because this takes 10 seconds.
Yeah,
and it's incredibly satisfying.
For sure,
you know?
it's designed to be satisfying. And I think to follow that thread a little further, like to the connection of like these, they call them like soothe core games to like a Power Washer or something from The Sims makes a ton of sense. I also see a direct link to pay-to-play games like a Farmville or like the Sims was balanced around, I want to sit in front of my computer for hours to complete all the tasks and the days you can fast forward them and this and that. All they did to basically make like a Farmville or a Simpsons Tapped Out is borrow the same formula, but slow everything down.
Yeah.
And if you want to play for hours, you have to pay in order to increase the progress that you get, which is like mind-numbingly annoying to me because it's like all you have to do is balance this game properly and it can be fun without having to pay. But The Sims, its tendrils can be felt, I think, even so far down into the free-to-play market.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is my player one's like my favorite game. She loves The Sims, and I think it's to the point that like I think it's her depression era gaming where like if things get a little tough, I can just hear the do 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 do, and she's just like in a dark room,
She
like
get depressed a lot,
designing a kitchen. No, only since about 5 years ago when we started dating. Before that, she's pretty happy.
So it hasn't gotten worse.
No.
That's the mark of a good relationship.
100%. Yeah, 100%. The Sims is there for her whenever she needs it to be. Great one. Where do you go to next? 4K games. I'm going to keep it till probably last. So I've got poorly aged and underappreciated to go.
You got to keep in mind though with the four great games, like sometimes there games of the year can be in that category, and there are some really solid ones.
I probably will. Yeah, then I'm going to probably go 4K games. This is where I was dancing around. I'm surprised it hasn't gone yet. I'm going to go Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. Yeah, under 4K games. You know what can you say? It's a legend of Zelda and of gaming. Really highlighted and put its stamp on this generation of gaming entirely. And it is a game we still talk about today. So hard to not put it down there 24 years later.
I know based on your history with Zelda that you didn't play this game when it came out. I did. And I rented this game because I loved Ocarina of Time. And I'd never experienced time loops in video games in the way that Majora's Mask is, and I fucking hated this game. I just wanted to go out on the field. I wanted to feed carrots to Epona, kill a couple ghosts, because you got to stay fucking dead, dude. Yeah. Don't just wander around the cemetery with a lantern in your hand. That's scary. It scares me.
And your dad's like, why don't you just kill ghosts in real life? We have so many ghosts we need killing.
Yeah. And I say where, and he's like, oh, they're in my closet. Why?
He cryptically just points like this.
Oh my God.
Like that.
Andrew has like a very loose finger when he's doing and I remember really disliking the game and only growing to, and I assumed when I played it, I was like, fucking Nintendo. Everyone's going to hate them for it. But people really liked it. And I didn't understand. It wasn't until later in life that I understood the formula of Majora's Mask that I was like, yeah, there is an argument to be made that might be the best Zelda game. I thought I could get it later. I didn't think you were going to be getting it this early, but you live and learn.
Yeah, live and learn. So there you go. Majora's Mask is one of my good games for the year.
One of your good games. I am going to go straight to, because I played a little bit of mind games on you there.
Nice.
I think there is a clear number one pick for poorly aged. The poorly aged game of the year, maybe of the decade, maybe more. It's a game that is laughably poorly aged, and yet when it came out was talked about as like the most revolutionary game there was. It was a game where you go to you got a brown leather jacket and you're looking for sailors, and no one knows where sailors are, but you got to ask everyone where sailors are all the time.
Your weekends?
This is my weekend. No, Andrew,
where are the sailors?
Now it's consuming my weekdays too. It's become a problem. It's become a big problem. Those sailors, by the way, they should all get athletic greens. Keeps 100%. The scurvy away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If only athletic greens have been around in the 1600s, 1700s.
That's probably the year that sailors were born.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go poorly aged. I'm going to go Shenmue.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Shenmue is, I can judge by your reaction that you didn't have that one on your list.
I didn't have that one down.
Aged. Shenmue was one of those games that came out. It was like almost, you could argue influential because it probably has some influence on a game like Yakuza, where you're just kind of a guy walking around the city, asking people questions, getting in some fights. You're kind of like a return home, and you've got some skills that people don't have. And it's very mysterious, very story driven. And this was of the era where like story in games wasn't as highly praised or highly consistent or expected in games of that time. It looked amazing because it was on the Dreamcast, but as we moved away from Shenmue and we saw what games actually could be, this is the one we look back as like fucking terrible, like terrible. And people joke about it. I think a lot of people still have a sentimentality towards it, which I respect and I understand. I don't respect the people, but I respect the sentimentality.
Yeah.
I think anyone can look deep in themselves and realize that the game is almost unplayable to this day, though. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shenmue. Poorly aged, he says. Okay. My next one, I'm going to go back to good games.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to choose one of my favorite games of the era. Oh, no. Don't get too excited yet. Don't get too excited yet. I'm going to choose Perfect Dark.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that it took that long to go, but yes.
I really liked Perfect Dark. It's a weird one. We now kind of speak of it a little bit, at least on this podcast, a little bit, not dismissively, but like, okay.
For sure.
Whatever. Because really at the time, man, did I love this game.
Yeah.
It really felt, since all the trappings of James Bond are not, I didn't care for James Bond back then. To be perfectly honest, I'm not even a huge James Bond guy now.
Oh, Andrew.
I think the modern movies are good.
Pierce, it's okay. Andrew, just calm down. It's like, Pierce, just chill out. No, he likes you.
Yeah.
You're
I like him.
His favorite one.
Yeah.
Sean, take a break.
He's dead. Don't worry.
And he only has one leg.
Yeah, what the hell? Did Pele say your leg?
Jesus Christ.
You gotta tell us. Since the trappings of James Bond were not really the appeal of GoldenEye, it really was the novelty of the time.
Yep.
The game of the multiplayers and all that kind of stuff. Perfect Dark was much more of like aliens and like laptop guns and all this kind of shit. That felt like much more cool to me as a world.
Yes.
I liked that world a lot more, and the tower and everything like that.
I completely agree with you on that.
So I loved this because it felt like an advancement on a game I already liked.
Yep.
And I didn't see the difference as a kid. Now I could definitely see like, maybe some threads to this game a little bit that you see, you see the workings, but I still really liked it, even when we went back to play it. So I'm going to put it under good games.
Plus the multiplayer added bots, which you almost could argue for innovation, like 100%. How significant that was. A game that I absolutely loved. I think ultimately was better at. It was a couple years removed, or at least a year removed from GoldenEye. Actually, no, sorry, 4 years removed from GoldenEye. So I was better at gaming. I could get the cheats on my own, which I couldn't really do as much in GoldenEye. We had to invite my brother's friend over to get us the cheats. But a game that I wasn't sure when that one would go.
Yeah.
But now we're in the territory of every round I'm worried I'm going to start losing games. I have to get some good games on my list and some that speak to me.
Okay.
Because I know if I don't do this, this is going to be your next pick. So I have to, it is.
I don't know. I assume we're going to be talking about, you go.
Okay. You don't want to say it? And then
no, just in case.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go with my pick, arguably game of the year, even though we're not counting that as a specific category, but Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid, kind of amazing. It's only going now.
Yeah. Another game that could be considered for influential, by the way.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. That's so funny. There's a few games left. There's only a handful of games I really care about left.
Yes.
That's not true. There's still a lot of good games. But the ones that are like personal to me, and Metal Gear Solid is definitely one of them, so that hurts. We have such good memories of playing this together.
Yeah,
growing up. And like
The double disc figuring. I remember so vividly one of my favorite gaming experiences was the hallway before you meet Gray Fox and how fucking scary it was with the dead bodies and the soldier coming around the corner and dying and the blood everywhere. And like, what are we getting ourselves into? Just like scared for our lives almost.
Yes, 100% in a dark basement playing a video game.
Yeah.
Man, what a great game. So yeah, hard to argue with that one. You're just putting that under good games?
I'm putting that under good games. And here's another argument that I would make against Shenmue is if you compare the story of Metal Gear with the story of Shenmue, which was held up for its story, Shenmue was, I think Metal Gear also has a better story and better storytelling.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay, well there you go. Yeah, I how I feel about these stories sometimes wanes a little bit of like it's very cool.
Marlon?
Huh?
Marlon?
No.
Marlon
One
Waynes?
of the many other Waynes.
Yeah.
Many Waynes.
Yeah.
What happened to all of them? Where are all of them? There used to be so many Waynes.
In a post-New Girl world, who knows?
Yeah. More of a Wayne Newton kind of guy.
Oh.
John Wayne.
Gretzky for me.
Oh, Gretzky, the great one.
Gretzky, the great one.
Hard to fight that one.
He was good at New Girl as well.
Yeah, he was great in New Girl.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
He played Zooey Deschanel.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks she's married to a Canadian now anyway, so.
Who?
Zooey Deschanel is.
I know every Canadian, but who is she married to?
She's married to one of the Property brothers.
I know him.
Which one?
Actually, both. They're brothers.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They grew up in the same household, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I know them both, because I was there too.
Yeah, you were there too?
Yeah.
You're the third Property brother?
I'm actually their mom.
Wow, that's amazing. This modern day world's incredible. Okay, so I'm going to go next. Okay, so I still have poorly aged and underappreciated, but there's been a run on good games.
This is like when someone picks a goalie in fantasy hockey.
Yes.
It's like, we got to pick our goalies now.
Yeah, or defense in football. You know, the popular version of that.
Or like when Joakim Noah beat the UCLA Bruins.
Yeah. Who else was on Florida, by the way? You keep bringing them up. So you
on the Gators?
Yeah, on the Gators.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Yeah, the Florida Gators.
One of them is still playing in the NBA today. That's why I bring it up.
I know it wasn't Charlie Villanueva because
he played on Connecticut.
Was playing on Connecticut. I know it wasn't Emeka Okafor because he was on UConn.
Also Connecticut, yes.
University of Connecticut.
Yeah.
I got a sweater because I really liked him.
You liked Okafor?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, nice.
I was a defenseman in basketball.
What the fuck is wrong with you? We're talking
hockey, right?
about football, and now, oh God! Sometimes just don't even get it. Okay, Al Horford was what I was looking for.
That's who I was going to say.
Corey
you
Brewer,
didn't let me finish. Corey Brewer was also on the starting five. There was, I think, who else?
I think who the guard was.
Yeah, the guard was who I was thinking. I thought who was going to come to me.
I could give you 1,000 guesses.
Chauncey Billups wasn't on the team, so
was Billy Donovan the head coach? Yeah, I think so. Okay, all right. Next up, 4 good games.
Yes,
I got 2. Ooh. I'm going 3.
Oh,
WWF No Mercy.
I really wanted that one.
I know.
I really wanted
that was going to be one of the ones we were going to fight over, and I just was like, "What am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I waiting on?" I'd be so mad. That's another game. Very important to Mikey and I. We played a ton of it. I could not tell you if this was an important game one way or another, but it was important to us.
It is almost inarguably the best wrestling game of all time.
Really?
Not just subjectively. Yeah. Most people consider it that way. And I think there are a lot of people out there who probably would have considered this the game of the year. It was the accumulation of every other wrestling game that came before it.
Yeah. And it was 2000 when wrestling is like red hot.
Yeah.
Like it's Stone Cold and The Rock and stuff like that. So yeah, WWF Mercy was so good. WWF, kind of weird. I know them, did a panda it was involved in the game or something like that?
Was there a panda in the wrestling game? Are you thinking about Tekken?
No. Did WWF.
Oh, which also had that like Jaguar
Wildlife Fund made that? I didn't know that. Okay. But yeah, so I loved it. It's such an important game to me. We played a lot of tag team.
Yes.
The Dudley Brothers, the 3D, Dudley Bros.
Go through a table, baby.
100%. And so, yeah, that game's so important to me. So that's going to be my 3rd of 4 good games.
3rd of 4 good games. There are a lot of good games left, but I kind of think I've got influential. I've got poorly aged. I think underappreciated. I have a bunch of options that I can go with. So I'm going to stick with good games because I can't believe it's gone this long. But I think my favorite game of the year, actually, the game my favorite game was Metal Gear Solid, but the game that I played the most and the game that I know a lot of people played the most was a computer game.
Okay.
And it was a game that I hate when I say a clue and you stop cringing because you're like, it's not that one.
Yeah.
But it was a game that I don't think any game has ever given me the feeling I had when I was playing Diablo 2 way back in the day. The loot based almost beat 'em up, whatever it is. Click, 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 drop, 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 sell, sell, sell.
Alka-Seltzer.
Alka-Seltzer,
yeah.
Jim Cramer, the rest. I absolutely love Diablo 2. I'm very happy to welcome it to my team.
Yeah.
The best team put together since the Florida Gators of 2007.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, obviously like that's way delayed. It should be probably a lot higher.
Yes.
But that's just
I think
based on our own.
anyone who grew up with a computer and no console was tearing their hair out.
Yes.
Much
yes.
like Homer Simpson after he gave birth to his children.
Yes, that's canonical that he loses a little, which is kind of crazy that it wasn't male pattern baldness. It was just he ripped out the hair follicles from his skull.
From the bottom of his scalp.
Thank God there's no fourth kid. Okay. That's obviously a very good one. I'm going to go with underappreciated now. I think it's waited long enough. I am going to be going with underappreciated, a game that I think about still a lot. I think its visual storytelling visual styling was really cool. The music was really cool. And moving around the game was a lot of fun. I'm going to go with Jet Set Radio.
Oh, that was my main pick for underappreciated.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I love that game. And it's just weird that there's this certain games, kind of like we were talking about Splinter Cell like probably a year ago.
Yep.
Like, does it feel like that game disappeared?
Yes.
Like, but at the time, oh my God, that game was so good.
Yeah.
So Jet Set Radio did a lot of stuff, especially with the coloring and the animation style that was so interesting and unique. And I just feel like we went away from it because every game became like very realistic after that.
True.
And I think it's super underappreciated. It's lost to time a little bit.
Yeah, Dreamcast cell shading was new. That kind of like grungy aesthetic. I was sold on the game because you could spray paint in it, and I thought that was the coolest fucking thing in the world. I thought the movement was great. We played that game on the podcast.
Yes.
I don't know if it holds up as well because of the. I remember feeling like almost nauseous playing it. Like it was, but I the sense of nostalgia I had when I went back and played it. I'm sad I don't have that one on my team because that was one of my favorites growing up.
That's awesome. Yeah, there we go. Where we go next?
So now that your underappreciated is taken, I'm just going to start scooping up some good games here. And you know, another game that I think it's very surprising. I kind of know what you're going to go for the next good game, but I'm going to let you have it because this is another one for my PC peeps out there that
those are guys you do PCP with?
Yes, my PC peeps. You know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
My PC peeps, my cocaine cowboys.
Yeah, everybody.
My mushroom mates.
Yeah.
My ketamine kids, my children.
Your kids who you do ketamine with. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
It's the influence of a game like Counter-Strike, the amount of time spent in it.
Yeah.
You know, one of those, a game that to this day, I know there have been iterations on it, but it's still in the current form kind of what is played competitively in esports, almost as popular as any other major video game that's played on an esports level. Definitely more popular than Overwatch these days. So it's really impressive that it's had such a long tail. I'm going to welcome it to the team with open arms.
Yeah, that's a great choice. Wow, you're getting some really big games there. That's really impressive.
I was worried because I didn't pick good games, and I think I held off. But you got a solid lineup, so it's tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because this team is so me. Like me that I know that might not be for everybody.
And I think if my guess is correct, your next pick is going to be even more you.
See, that's the thing. That's why we can say what it's going to be afterwards, but I'm actually going to hold off so that I can keep my broad, hopefully appeal for everybody else.
Interesting.
And I'm going to go with my last good game. And I'm not choosing the PC game that I think Mikey thinks I'm going to choose.
Okay.
Which I love very much. I'm going to choose SSX.
Oh, nice. Very
a great game that I still very much love. And also on this podcast we did. And we loved. It was good. It was good at the time too.
It's a great game.
SSX, kind of broadens that. It really also says what video games were doing at the time. I have Tony Hawk on my team. I have this. I have Jet Set Radio. All these things of like, people wanted to do these extreme sports, feel big, the whole thing. EA Sports, big. So yeah, SSX, great game. Yeah, fourth of my 4 good games.
There was an era, the golden age of snowboarding games was around this time. There were some really good snowboarding games, and I kind of miss that. I think there's space for another really good snowboarding game. I don't know why we moved away from them so completely. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder what everyone's appetite for that is.
So you've got SSX there as one more of your picks, your just standard video game picks. So I still have underappreciated and game of the year to go with. I am going to go.
Didn't we get rid of game of the year?
Sorry, just game 4. Sorry, I'm going to go with. Man, there was one pick that I really wanted to make, but I don't know how well received it's going to be, and it feels very personal. If I don't pick this next thing, which I'm committing to pick now, people are going to be so upset. And I think while it's not the game for me, It was often considered for game of the year. In fact, won a couple games of the year
Okay.
awards. A game that I'll never play and I have no interest in playing, but I know a lot of
Heard
people
that
do,
before.
and I'm trying to pander to them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Chrono Cross.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yes. A very popular game among some circles.
Yeah, the sequel to Chrono Trigger.
Yes.
And from SNES to PlayStation, kind of the revamping of the graphics, looking more like Final Fantasy, but still an impressive story and something that holds the test of time. But like I said, not something I'm too interested in playing myself.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I only have one left.
Right.
It's poorly aged.
Yeah.
And there are so many that you could choose for this category. But I'm choosing something a little niche, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to go with Pokemon Puzzle Challenge that came out in the year 2000.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
I'm doing this because puzzle games, everyone loves puzzle games, right? And you're like, yeah, and most puzzle games are okay because they kind of have to be, they have to function to be a puzzle game. It's not like a video game where you're like, oh, it's so glitchy and I keep jumping through the wall or something like that. It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle. But I am really doing this as a poorly aged thing because there are still versions of this today, but we don't see it like we did during Pokemania of the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, where they went, oh my God, they like Pokemon?
Yes.
And they started looking in the back catalog and going like, can we make that Pokemon? Can
Just
that be
slap it onto
Pokemon?
everything.
And this is the thing is they would just release anything with the name Pokemon on it, give 50% to the Poke Freaks,
Game Freaks,
and then just also go like, well, this would have sold way better than it would have been in the first place. And so I'm doing poorly aged because it's just the motivation of a wave of sales that they're trying to confuse grandparents out there that are trying to buy games for their grandkids.
Yeah. You couldn't sell too much Pokemon.
No.
Everything you slapped it on would sell. I was watching, I'm going back and watching The Sopranos with my player one. I've seen it before, but what I missed the first time through, surprisingly, is there's a scene where AJ, Tony Soprano's kid, is in the hospital and he's playing with a Game Boy and he's playing Pokemon Pinball. And I was like, what a strange choice.
Yeah.
What a strange choice to have him do. I didn't know he liked Pokemon, first of all.
Yeah.
Secondly, of all the Pokemon games to play, it's like they wanted it to be known that it's Pokemon Pinball. I wonder if what's the lead writer's name?
Who wrote
The Sopranos?
Give me a second. David Chase?
David Chase. It's like David Chase's kid played Pokemon Pinball and he's like, I'm going to put that in the
Or
game.
AJ's literally playing it on the set and they're like, that's good.
Yeah,
Just use
true.
that.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Honestly, it could be something
You just
like
keep
that.
playing.
So I have one left and it's underappreciated. And this is tough because what impresses me about the year 2000 is all the games, it doesn't have as many this has to go number one, but it has so many strong contenders for games that you would put in your lineup. And because of that, I feel like everything has its appreciation to some niche. I don't want to go with Paper Mario, even though I think it's underappreciated in the franchise and among the mainstream because people who like it fucking love it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go with Mario Tennis because it's at the end of the day a Mario game, and I know a ton of people who play it and still play it, and Mario Tennis sold really well on the Switch. What I'm going to go with
Conflicted
is a controversial pick. It's a controversial pick. I don't know if you will agree with me on this, but rather than going influential, I'm going to go with a game that was lost to the year 2000 because of all the other good games and all the other sports iterations that came out around it. I'm going to go with NBA 2K1. And the reason I'm going to go for that is because everyone was talking about the innovations made on NFL 2K, but NBA 2K, the improvements that were made, I feel like we often look past. We just take it for granted that what we have right now has always been there. But this was a splitting of licenses. When 2K came to the forefront with NBA 2K and 2K1, it was like, oh, EA's not the only game in town. Like, we can have competition in this field. And in doing it, it just became like a much better, much more playable basketball game in my mind. And without the Dreamcast and without this game coming out at this time, I feel like we never would have had that. So I'm going to go with underappreciated for the history that it brings.
Interesting.
NBA 2K1.
Okay, there you go. NBA 2K1. Mikey, do you want to go from, do you want to say your team?
Let's do it. Okay, so my team, in terms of the good games, the top 4 games, I've got Metal Gear Solid, Diablo 2, Counter-Strike, and Chrono Cross. Influential, I have The Sims. Poorly aged, I have Shenmue. And underappreciated, NBA 2K1.
Okay. For my 4 good games, I had Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Perfect Dark, WWF No Mercy, and SSX. Influential is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Poorly Aged is the Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, and Underappreciated is Jet Set Radio.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I still think you dominated the underappreciated category. I thought I had more options to go for, but I just didn't know what else to put in there.
Yeah, it's tough because, like obviously the game that I really wanted to choose, I think we were about talking about, was Command and Conquer Red Alert 2.
See, I thought you were going to pick Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Oh, that too. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, yeah. Oh, was that the original that came out in 2000?
This is the tough thing.
I thought that was expansion or something.
I had it circled. No, it was released on the Dreamcast. So we always have this question of whether arcade kind of gets in the way of the console releases. So I didn't when you didn't pick it, I was like, okay, maybe we're supposed to leave that one off the board. So I didn't end up taking it, but yeah, a great game.
Oh, great game. So yeah, lots to choose from. Which of the games that you would have picked, let us know at Retrograde Pod.
Yeah.
And until then, year 2000, 24 years ago. I'm surprised none of us did the Conan O'Brien joke. In the year 2000. Yeah. Man, what a good show. What a special time that was.
Conan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome.
Yeah, really good.
He's got a pretty underground podcast that you might like too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Good for him getting into podcasting. Maybe we could teach him a few things.
Yeah, I think he should come to us for some tips.
Yeah, that'd be good. The weird part is he does feel like a guy that would show up in a random podcast every once in a while. And he loves video games. He definitely doesn't dismiss them really wildly. It was so funny if he sat here because it'd be like us just going like, do you remember that? That was cool. It's like the Chris Farley talk show. Yeah. That was awesome.
So, sorry this room's so small. And
stupid.
There's gonna be a lot of echo. There's gonna be a lot of echo on this recording. Let me just double check, make sure we're recording here. Yeah, we're recording. I'm gonna do that about 17 more times because I'm really nervous this isn't gonna go well.
He's so tall. Yeah. Okay. So let us know what we missed. And until then, we love every single one of you. Can't wait to talk to you soon. My name's Andrew Bascom. With me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Aaronworth.
Whoa, it's a dove. This is the Retrograde Podcast.
Game over. Hey, Andrew, I just checked. All of my calendars on my computer are fucked right now.
Oh my God.
Bye.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Andrew, I'm disappointed in myself.